Hey guys, this is going to be a follow-up video about the independent contractorship. So recall we had talked about 4 different ways to start in practice. There was the associateship, the independent contractorship, buying out a practice, and starting your own. The associateship, if you recall, is the safest, but there's limited amount of growth. And then at the other extreme, there's going to be starting your own practice, which has the most potential for growth, but it's also the riskiest because you're incurring a lot of expense right up front. So this is kind of a happy medium because it allows you to build a practice without incurring the huge amount of cost that it would take to start your own practice. So an independent contractorship is where you are sharing space with another chiropractor, an office that's probably already running, and you're coming in and you're paying rent, and you're also able to grow your own practice or build your own practice within that other office. Okay, so on the plus side, like I mentioned, it is cheaper than starting your own practice. There is going to be, your rent is going to be a couple of different ways. So if you're looking at an independent contractorship, this is what to look out for. It might be a flat rent, meaning you may just pay $1,000 a month, $2,000, $3,000 a month, whatever it is in that particular area, instead of paying the full amount of rent as the owner. So as the independent contractor, you're going to pay a smaller amount of rent just to offset that expense. Or what I usually see out in the field is going to be a percentage. So if you are the independent contractor, you may give 50% of your collections to the office as your rent payment. Now, there might be a combination of those. You may have a flat rent plus a percentage, or a flat rent instead of a percentage. I've also seen those get graduated where the percentage changes as time goes on or as your volume goes up. And same thing with the flat rent. It may change over time and it may go up as your volume goes up. Okay, so those are a couple of different things to look out for when you're considering an independent contractorship as far as rent is concerned. Now, this does have more freedom than an associateship. In the associateship video, we talked about if you don't do activator, as an example, and that office is an activator office, you're going to have to do that. In an independent contractorship, the way they usually run is you're independent, so you get to do what you want to do. So if you want to do Gonstead in an activator office, as long as the equipment works and as long as the head doctor doesn't have a problem with it, you're able to do that. So there are certain freedoms that should be inherent, but you're going to have to you're still going to have to play by the house rules. And here's what I mean by that. There are different things, different levels of freedom, or different areas where freedom is possible. You should be able to set your own hours. You should be able to set your own fees. You should be able to do your own protocol, and you should be able to do your own paperwork, as just a quick 4 examples there. But if that office sets up their contract where they don't want you changing the fees, let's say that office charges $50 an adjustment. Well, if you come in and you say, hey, my adjustments are $20, and you go out into the community and you start advertising, come over here for the $20 adjustment, the head doctor might not want that because you'd kind of be undermining the fee structure that they have in place. So those are possible areas of freedom, but that's something to check in your contract. You want to make sure that all of that stuff is addressed. On the downside of an independent contractorship is kind of like what I said. There is inherent competition. If you're coming in and working in close proximity to another chiropractor, that's instant competition right there. So let's say you're in a strip mall and you're next to a Starbucks, and to put up a little flyer at Starbucks to say, hey, come see the chiropractor. Well, you're competing against each other. Now the drawing area where you would potentially get new patients has to be split to 2 different doctors, and the head doctor might not want that. So they might work something into the contract where they say all walk-ins are mine, or I've got dibs on this shopping center, or whatever it is. So that's on the downside. There can be a lot of competition. I have also seen offices that have multiple independent contractors. So it might be a head doctor and like 4 or 5 independent contractors working there. All of those independent contractors are now fighting for the same radius or same drawing area of patients, of potential new patients. So, let's say the local high school is there. Well, 4 other chiropractors in that office might have already hit up that high school to say, hey, can we come and do a screening for your teachers? So that's something to be aware of as far as an independent contractorship. There could be immediate competition. Also on the downside is you need to, well, I guess this would be more of a consideration. You need to figure out things like who gets the walk-ins. So it might be a head doctor that's already so busy that they don't want any more new patients. So they say, hey, independent contractor, you get all the walk-ins. But it might be a practice that's still growing and they say, no, I've been here forever. All the walk-ins are mine. You don't get them. So that's something to be aware of as well. So the independent contractorship can vary so much that there's no way I can make a definitive video about all of it, but this video should give you an overview of it. So there is increased freedom, more freedom than an associateship, but less security than an associateship. And then on the other extreme, you're actually going to have a little bit less freedom than if you were to start your own, but it's also going to be more security than starting your own because you're not going to, your expenses aren't going to be through the roof like they would be if you started your own. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below or reach out to me. The last thing I'll say is, just like I said at the end of the associateship video, if you do have an independent contractorship contract, don't just sign that immediately. Have somebody else look it over. Somebody who's been in practice before, one of your mentors or somebody like that, somebody who's done this. You want to make sure that somebody looks at your contract. If it looks good on paper, it might be a great deal, but you don't know. So I caution you not to sign anything without having somebody look it over first. Okay, so like I said, leave me any comments below, and I'll talk to you soon.